Hello, welcome to the Grief Retreat. I'm Lucy.
And I'm Sam. I'm a rapid transformational therapist.
And I'm a grief recovery method specialist.
And together we're going to take you on the grief recovery process.
And we're going to give you hope and inspiration to take you from the darkness to the light. Today we're talking about the physical and mental impacts of grief. And we're also talking about different behaviours that we all have throughout grief. So we actually call them, in my grief recovery method, short-term energy relief behaviours, which is STIRB.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about that first.
Yeah,
if you want
definitely.
To,
yeah, absolutely.
So
it's a way of escapism, isn't it?
Yeah, so a short-term energy relief behaviour is a pain relief.
Yeah.
So, for instance, people will drink alcohol to block their pain. They will take drugs to block their pain.
Can work through it, become a workaholic.
Workaholic, sex is a big one. Shopping, become a shopaholic.
Yeah. Like credit card transactions.
Yeah, it's anything that makes you feel good at that time is a pain. Yeah, it's a pain relief. So, but what you're finding is you'll be, you're going shopping and spending all that money, then you're in financial ruin debt.
Struggle.
So then it's obviously a vicious circle. A lot of these pain reliefs are actually more damaging. So obviously drinking too much, completely damaging. Going into lots of relationships and having sex, it makes you feel better at the time. But
I think the common one, the common ones that people maybe would know about would be the drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
But the working or maybe the sex or the shopping, people wouldn't relate that. They'd be like, oh, I just love shopping.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you trying to avoid? What are you trying to
What
numb?
you're doing,
and it is to excess. It's not just buying something that you need and want. It's all of this is excessive, isn't it?
It's everything you're doing excessively. Yeah. Even actually, believe it or not, going to the gym is one. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so some people obviously through grief will get addicted to going to the gym.
Yeah.
And obviously that's because they're releasing their endorphins, it's making them feel good. That's great. But then the problem is when they can't go to the gym or there's an issue, they get anxiety.
Yeah.
Which is not healthy.
Yeah, of course.
So again, so it's an addiction. So all these things are addictive. So another thing, of course, is overeating.
Yeah,
overeating, emotional eating
I can think of a couple of people already.
Yeah, is a massive one through grief.
When it's
comfort. Yeah, so when people are going through their grief, their trauma, or mental health issues, depression, they comfort eat, and it's a pain relief. Yeah. Obviously, then they're like, "Oh my God, I'm overweight. Yeah. Oh my God, I feel like and it's like it's just on that cycle. So,
and we all do something different. So, what one person stirbs in, and another person might do something else, or you might have multiple.
Oh, so I had multiple.
I remember working through mine, and I didn't realise that that's what I was doing. I just thought I was bloody fantastic. Look at me, workaholic.
Yeah.
Work. It wasn't till later that I realised that I was just masking the pain. I kept my diary so busy, so I didn't have time to feel.
Yeah, and feel or think or do it.
Yeah, and just anything that felt good. And work for me at that time was a lot of external validation. So people telling me, you're great, you're amazing, look at you building this business, how well you're doing.
Yeah.
All of that recognition. And I just soaked it all up and was like, I've got to work for the next promotion, the next this, the next that. I've got to help everybody. And I was just not allowing myself to actually feel and sit with my emotions. I was sat with everyone else's.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a massive mistake that people make.
Yeah.
So, I need to go back to work. I need to be distracted. I need to carry on. No one's having routine is fantastic. We're not saying you need a routine. You absolutely do. But you also need to take time for you and take that time to feel and heal.
Yeah. And it's going back to work at the right time. It's still having a drink, but not to the point where it's excessive and ruining your life.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of judgment around stirbing because if you see somebody who's drinking a lot, partying a lot, not going to work, you think, wow, what's wrong with them? And a lot of people don't think, well, actually, they've been through a lot of grief.
Yeah.
Someone's passed or they've lost their job or, financially they're in trouble. They just see the drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of judgment.
But that's exactly what I did. I mean,
which we've all done.
I know. And obviously everyone likes to judge. But I think for me, because I lost my my business as well, so I sort of lost my family unit, my business, there was I was completely lost. I had no direction.
There's no one guiding you.
No guidance, no like, this is what you're doing. So tomorrow, you've got a routine, you're going to work. Now, a lot of people are like, well, just go and get a job. But I'd always work for myself.
It's very hard to go and get a job when you've worked for yourself.
And also as well, I don't think I could have held down that job.
Yeah.
Because I was in so much pain, so much grief, and I was going through a massive divorce, and I'd lost all my properties. So I was going through all that comes with that. Imagine losing a lot of houses. You have a lot of backlash from that.
And then having a boss, and you're angry.
And I'm upset, I'm depressed, and I'm having to go and have another pressure of going to work. I couldn't have physically done it. I couldn't have physically done it. Would it have helped me? Could it have helped me? Would I have found the right job to do that? No. I needed purpose again. Finding a job and doing that wasn't what I needed. So obviously doing what I'm doing now has
replaced all that.
I love coming into work and helping people. I love getting up and coming in there. That's like, I could never thought I'd ever be able to do this again. Have a regular job where I come into work. Obviously it's my own business, but actually wanting to do that again.
Yeah, it gives you fulfilment.
I never thought I would do that. So
it's self-worth, isn't it? That's what we
I think people don't realise when they're doing all this disturbing, it's to do with pain relief, and they're masking their pain.
It's avoidance, isn't it?
And suppressing it.
Avoid the pain, avoid what's hurt me. I'll drink through it, sleep through it, eat through it, spend through it, have sex through it, work through it.
Medication as well. A lot of people go on antidepressants or the beta blockers, and I do understand, there's no judgment here. It has this, but it's short fix. Yeah. It's not fixing you long term. You need to heal. You need to release that pain and heal. You need to talk about
back the layers.
it. Yeah, all you're doing with the medication is putting over the plaster over the wounds, as we talk about.
And it's not easy. It's not easy.
No.
Lifting that mirror and saying, I've got to look at me and I've got to peel back these layers, unravel, unpick, and pull it back together differently. But what you'll find is that you're not changing who you are. You're becoming who you always were.
Yeah.
You're becoming you. But even a better version of
exactly,
you.
a much better version. I'm a much better version of me from 10 years ago. A much better version, and that's from my grief.
And anybody I've ever spoke to, even though they might not know the word stirb and they understand that terminology, they will be able to look at their life and go, I drank through that, I worked through that, I had sex through that. And it's all to do with external validation to make you feel good in that moment.
Of course it is. It's what most people call a coping mechanism. It's their coping mechanism. What they're actually doing is relieving their pain, but they're not associating it. And like you said, my mum got diagnosed with cancer when I was 18, and although I was going out then, I'm 18. I like to go raving, and I loved it. But I was excessive. Yeah. And I was watching my mum, go through a treatment, her hair falling out, and all that horrendous thing that I watched for 20 years with my mum. I disturbed through it. Yeah. A lot.
Well, that's a lot for an 18-year-old to deal with.
Yeah, it was. I just didn't.
I mean, any age, to be honest.
Any age.
But 18.
I didn't process it at all, and what was actually happening to her, I just couldn't. I couldn't. The only time I
shut it down.
Shut it down.
I'll just go out and party for 4 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and a lot of the people, really, when you think back, who was partying with you, had all gone through the mum and dad splitting up, or something that's happened to them. We were all a bit lost, all a bit lost, really.
The lost gang, and just all going out together, escaping in life. But because there's a difference, isn't there, between going out on a Saturday night and having fun, and then you don't do that for a while, than to do it every weekend or every night, or to excess, or 4 days, or... there's a level of we're just having fun in our 20s to I'm actually damaging myself here, and I'm doing something to escape.
But that's it. When does that stop? I mean, when are you going to stop doing that? Because... when do you, for you to be going out every weekend and doing that, you're filling a gap. Yeah. When are you just okay with being at home and being happy, or wherever, in the car driving, sat on a beach, just making tea, watching a film, just being you. You're happy in yourself. You don't need to be on that dance floor drinking and doing that. I love doing that. It's amazing. but I don't feel the need to do it.
Yeah, of course.
So it's always that want and need thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do I need to do that, or do I want to do it? And so that's where I've got in my life now, that
absolutely.
I don't need to do these things. I want to do them.
Because when you are in that state where you're using something external to escape, you don't at that time know the emotional, physical damage it's doing to you. On top of the grief that you're feeling and all those emotions that you're going through, on top of trying to lead this new life and build something new around the loss.
Yeah.
Like maybe a new job or a new partner, or, you know, just dealing with the loss of a loved one who's died. As well as then drinking through it, it's just...
Well, you just, again, and all you're doing, you're on that cycle, and it's just continuous. Yeah. You're drinking, you're going out, you're doing this, and then you're crashing, you're feeling down all week or whatever, then you start to feel a bit better, pick yourself up, do it again.
And it makes...
It's an unbalanced life. You're like this all the time.
And it makes, so, you know, if we talk about the physical symptoms that you've got here from a loss, it's the crying, the headaches, the loss of appetite, the lack of energy. That comes with grief, regardless of you going out for 4 days or you working through it.
Yeah.
So if you're working through it, imagine how that envelopes those feelings and makes them even bigger.
Yeah.
So it's just creating chaos.
Yeah, my life was chaotic, exactly that. Completely chaotic.
And then you think, which is what we've already spoke about, I'm losing my mind, I'm out of control, what's wrong with me? And that spirals then to that, maybe then the anxiety, the panic attacks, the suicidal thoughts, the job loss, the friendship losses.
Yeah.
And it just all weaves in and out of each other.
I know. And then it is, and then also when we talk about the physical impacts and the mental, it makes you ill. So I found I was getting, like you say, I had a fatigue, bad headaches, IBS. I had really bad IBS, really bad, So that's a massive effect from grief. The stress on the body and the stress I was causing.
It's got to come out somewhere, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So they say, you know, what you don't express, you suppress, but it comes out in your body somewhere.
Yeah.
So you might have a skin condition, or you might get the headaches, or because it's got to come out. Your body's screaming for help.
Yeah, exactly. Your body's holding on to all this pain and this grief that you've experienced throughout your life. So much, in fact, it's like some people, it's like multiple, and it's like, you need to let go.
It's got to go somewhere.
You've got to let it go.
Out somewhere,
it's got to come out, So, and obviously the mental impacts is obviously the depression.
Yeah, which is the
mental
probably
health
the
issues.
Most powerful one, the mental health, the anxiety, the fear, the isolation, because of how you feel, then you don't go to stuff, or you don't have your relationships, you're not connecting with people. You become disconnected, not only from your community, your friends, your family, but you become disconnected from who you are. You lose your intuition. You don't know who to trust. Oh, even just talking about it makes me think,
the overthinking is out of control. Overthink. That's a massive side effect from grief and trauma, overthinking.
Yeah, I could talk about that. And my husband could all day. Like, the overthinking has been brutal for me.
Yeah.
And not only because of this, but because I'm highly sensitive empath. That's part of my personality traits. So overthinking is part of that.
Yeah.
Then with grief on top, I was every situation, every conversation. Couldn't even make a blue decision.
Yeah.
Go even shopping for a sofa. I don't know. Too scared to make any decisions, and it would take me a long time to feel confident and comfortable and go, that's what I want. So you almost had to ask me very specific questions. Do you want pizza or chips?
Yeah.
You know, it was never like, where do you want to eat? I'd be like, I don't know, where do you want to eat?
Yeah. It's awful, isn't it?
And it would spiral, the overthinking would spiral to always the worrying about everything. And of course, then that leads
to major anxiety.
And like catastrophizing.
Yeah.
So then with Sophia having a nut allergy, you know, it was never she's got a hive. I was like, she's going to die. Like, she's going to have a reaction. Like, everything would go very quickly to catastrophising the situation, which comes from anxiety, which comes from overthinking, worrying about the future.
It's all linked, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And it's not until now, as we are years later, going, this is how it all just fits together, and it all just makes sense.
Yeah.
No wonder we had years of just chaos.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's kind of almost saying which ones are affecting me the most, let's work on that one. Which one's next, let's work on that one. What can I do to move forward in that area?
Yeah.
You can't minimise them all.
I think for me, what the major thing, obviously, I had to remove myself from environments.
Yeah, that was a big one for you, hasn't it been?
Massive, because...
Well, I think you were still maybe... I think I left certain circles years ago where I wasn't partying and in certain circles anymore, whereas you probably still were.
Well, I went back to them sort of circles when I split up with my husband.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was obviously, still had my friends, but I threw myself right back into that environment. Believe me, at the time,
I probably felt great.
It was great. It was I've had some great times. I'm not going to sit here and say it's all been awful, because that would be a lie. But they weren't good for me.
Yeah.
I was making wrong decisions. I was getting into the wrong, I was literally just like so excessive in them environments as well but because I didn't want to sleep as well. So I didn't want to sleep, didn't want it to end.
Go home on your own.
Didn't want the reality to hit. Yeah. Oh, horrendous. Like,
don't want this feeling to stop.
Because that's the only time when I felt out of the pain and like me, back to me. But then the reality would always come and hit me a lot stronger. Yeah. And so, and then I said before...
It's like a tsunami then, isn't it?
Yeah. Then I said before, then I'd go into them toxic relationships, which were horrendous. And I'm like putting up with absolute shit, because that was better than being on my own. Yeah. And even friendships as well. Like, I'd be putting up with friendships because I didn't want to lose my circle, and I didn't want to, rock the boat. And but these things were damaging me more. So
you're not being your true self, are you?
No.
You're not speaking your voice and what your values and who you really are. So it starts naturally over a period of time to just completely disconnect you from who you are. You lose who you are.
I've had to completely disconnect to find myself again and grow into the person that I wanted to be. It's been a tough journey. It's not been easy at all. Been really painful actually, but I've got myself to a really good place now, an amazing place. And
where you've accepted.
That's just
part of the journey.
Yeah, I've got a handful of really good friends, like best friends, and that's all I need. I'm in a very calm, peaceful environment. The odd thing blip, but very rare. And I've got myself to that place, but I've got myself to a good place where I'm very protective over it now. So I'm like, I've struggled to let people in now. I'm like, oh no.
Well, you get a vibe and you're like, you're not ruining what I've got.
Yeah.
So
especially men. I do struggle to, I've dipped my toe in the water and it's just become drama. So I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah.
So again, that's environments and that's me still doing a bit of work and finding the right person. But I think we do to stop disturbing. We have to look at the environments we're in.
And I think mentioning, I've got here, for example, the worry, the anger, like you said, the overthinking. Most people wouldn't probably think that is part of, I'm just crying all the time, or why am I worrying? They're not going to link it to maybe the grief that they had 5 years ago,
no.
The husband they lost 10 years ago. So what I found was hard when... I had a childhood friendship breakup when I was on my teens and in my teenage years, and I left that friendship circle and I was totally on my own. And then I went to university to do my nursing degree. And I remember then at that point just finding it really difficult to let people in, always thinking people are going to hurt me. And I found it tough to build friendships.
Yeah.
Found it ever so difficult to let people get close to me.
Yeah.
And only a couple of years ago, just before I married Andy in 2016, a lady said to me, I've been trying to get close to you for so long. I just want to get close to you, just won't let anyone in. And it was like, it's because of that pain, that loss, that friendship years ago, that I've always had this overthinking, this worrying, this lack of trust with building new friendships.
Yeah, so for me, I think when you've been through a lot of grief, you've been through all that pain and heartache and you've pulled yourself out of it, no one's taking me back. And a few people have taken me back. And I'm like, wow, after knowing everything I've been through and you've took me back there, I'm like, no, no one is taking me back to that place again. There's no way I'm going to keep pulling myself out of this pain.
And you become quite protective of your energy.
You do.
You exchange your time and energy with, who you share information with. And it's not, I don't think you become more guarded, you just become more mindful of who's around you, what people need to know.
Yeah.
Or maybe years ago would have said everything, and now you're like, does this person need to know that information? Do I need to let them in?
Yeah.
It's almost like having a little invisible bubble around you and saying only certain people are getting in this bubble, and the rest can just stay on the outside, because you don't want...
protecting yourself again, because... people sometimes, unfortunately...
we get let down.
I just feel like I've been let down in my life by people that I really loved.
And there's that great... I think it's by Brené Brown, and she says, the worst thing we can have as humans is expectations. That's what hurts us the most. Having this expectation
and you're right,
how things should be.
Again, so my expectation levels... with people now, I brought them down because I'm not going to be let down again. So the only person I rely on now is me. There's no, of course I've got my friends and my family, and I am around people that don't let me down, and I know are secure friends, and obviously my family too. That's the only people I need. I don't need to bring anyone else in to be let down again or hurt. So,
and the connection becomes when you've loved and lost, job, pet, baby, career, whatever the loss is, that connection becomes a priority. So before, we were just all living our life and getting on with things. But then when you have lost something, that honesty, that trust, that connection you have with somebody becomes the most important part of that relationship, and it's almost something you're not prepared to negotiate with. You've either kind of got me or you haven't, and we're not friends.
It's funny actually, because when I say the one major reason why I left my husband was because of the emotional connection. It was never there. He's not an emotional person. So when I'm going through my mum dying,
he couldn't support you.
He never supported me.
So he felt alone.
So, and I'm like, if you can't support me through this worst time of my life,
when can you?
And I needed that emotional support, and I need that from any man who I decide to spend my life with. And if I haven't got that, I'll be on my own.
Because it's a partnership, isn't it?
And because
take.
When you've been through a lot of emotion and you're in touch with your emotions, you need that.
Just need to know that somebody's there, even though you don't need anybody, and I don't. Like, we are totally capable of living on our own, being on our own, and we can love and live our life. But when you have got that person,
but I do want that person, but I don't need them. So
you need to know that if I'm struggling, you're going to be there to help pick me up, not solve me and not heal me,
not
but
fix
I can do that myself.
me,
But that you're going to be there to be like, come on, babes, like we can do this together. Whereas if they just leave you on your own,
you get that. What's wrong with you?
It's lonelier.
Yeah, of course it is. It's like, you get all that. What's wrong with you? Come on, you're being too much. It's over the top, or you think, and then that just makes you worse.
Well, that's your confidence and self-belief, and worse is already in your boots. That just takes it to another level.
Exactly.
Like if my partner who sees me at my worst is telling me just to get on with it and stop being silly. Am I being silly?
Yeah.
And then you just question yourself, and it spirals.
I mean, listen, we know everyone's different. Everyone's different. How one person might be with that person matches. I need someone who's emotionally connected, 100%. Friendships. And
like years ago, it might have been like, what colour eyes and what colour hair. Now it's like, are you spiritually?
Sure, are you spiritual? Are you emotional? But even in friendships, though, I need the same. I need a friend who is connected to their spirituality, knows about healing, is in touch with themselves. Like, that's more important to me now. Not someone who I can go and party with. I like to party. I like to party, but I need someone who can really get me,
of course,
and get what I've gone through, because otherwise you just question.
It's just surface layer. It's just surface layer, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think, a lot of people who are watching this probably wouldn't, maybe feeling some of these even aches and pains in their body, and not thinking it's to do with the loss that they've had, and it's stored emotion that needs to come out, isn't it? And physically, the tiredness is brutal. The tiredness, because
emotionally drained.
You're on all the time, and you're always on high alert, and you're in a state of fight or flight and fear, and so you're just absolutely wiped.
100%. But like you say, people don't realise it's like all these things are linked to your grief. Your grief, you'll hold on to so much physically in grief. Again, you know, chronic illnesses from grief, people would not connect it.
Yeah, of course.
We need to release that physical pain. We've got to get that physical pain out.
Yeah. Well, your body and your mind are completely connected. We are as one.
Yeah.
And what affects one affects the other. And, you know, we'll all have a different ache or pain, but it's just got to come out, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's just acknowledging that if people are on this grief journey, or, you know, going through some challenges with their health at the moment, being really mindful and thinking, well, actually, is this to do with my emotional state? Am I talking, expressing, acknowledging, releasing? Have I got tools in my toolkit to allow me to feel good and also give me the space to feel?
Yeah, But again, it's just, you know, people just acknowledging that they are feeling this because of what they've been through. And it's like, you know, why am I always ill? Why do I always feel like this? Why am I tired? Why am I feeling anxious? Why have I got headaches all the time? Why have I got no motivation? You know, what is wrong with me? You are grieving.
Yeah. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Let your body, and I think, again, going back to you need to feel it to heal it, you've got to let that out.
And I think just coming to an end, it's allowing people that, you know, it is a grieving process, but you don't want to be stuck.
No.
You don't want to be stuck in anger for 4 years or depression for 5 or with aches and pains. Like if you're noticing that over a period of time that this emotion isn't just going on its own and it's still there, that's when you need to think, right, what can I do? Who can I speak to? Who can I ask for help? Of course, we've got our own services, but there might be other tools like sound baths or meditation or journaling or gratitude. It's just releasing it in some way.
Yeah. Making some changes, and I think a lot of people just don't even know
where to start,
and also don't even realise how these changes can have such a big impact.
I did something really simple, just quickly. I wrote letters to all of my family, and I gave it to them at Christmas a couple of years ago. And I also wrote a letter to Ian and to my sister, and then to the friend that I fell out with at school. Yeah. And this other lady as well that I had an incident with, and I've kept them. Like, of course, I'm not going to give it to them, but I just wrote down, not in a negative way, but forgiving them, forgiving me, expressing what happened, what's hurt me, how I've hurt them, because I've hurt people too. I'm not sat here saying that I haven't hurt anyone.
None of us are perfect.
But I think that the writing the letter was a great release for me because I could bring up all the emotions without having to physically say it to the person, because some of them weren't here.
It's about being heard, isn't it? So obviously I do this in my grief recovery program. We write letters, and it's about releasing all them undelivered communications that you're holding on to that you need to say. Yeah. If you can release that, you're releasing that pain. Yeah. And forgiveness is so important. Forgiving other people and forgiving yourself. Because otherwise, all you're doing is holding on to all that pain,
the shame,
all that
the guilt,
bitterness, guilt, all them emotions.
And then it just creates all these physical and emotional symptoms, and it spirals.
Exactly. I mean, I've had to forgive a lot of people, mainly my ex-husband. I've had to forgive him and let go. Otherwise, it's only me that's hurting. So I've forgiven.
And as you know, hurt people. So when we were hurting, we've also behaved in a different way, maybe hurt people, made the wrong choices, said the wrong things, because we're hurting ourselves, take things personally, defend ourselves, on attack. Yeah. So because when you are where we are now, which is happy and content and connected, in a space of healing, I don't feel any of those things.
No, me neither.
I mean, I might sometimes, if my sister gets on my nerves or my mum wants me up the wrong way, but that's just normal life. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, on a kind of a grand scale, I don't feel hurt, so I'm not actively like projecting that out either.
Yeah, no, me neither. So I've let go of a lot. I've had to. Yeah. So I think
I think that's another a session done. Thank you so much for listening and watching.
I hope you've really taken a lot from that, because I think a lot of people don't realise the impacts of grief on our physical and mental health and behaviour. It's absolutely huge. So I hope that's helped you today.
Yeah, and we look forward to the next series.
Okay, thank you.